Okay, hi Essex. So I'm just going to go through with you a couple of ideas for how you could start your story for your cave quick write. So, thinking to yourself at home, how could you start your story? I'm going to give you an idea first. So because the children have just walked into the cave, it's going to be dark and it says on the slide that they hear something. So I'm going to start with onomatopoeia, so I'm going to start with a noise. So think at home what noise you could start with. So I could maybe start with bang, and I might write that in capital letters to show that it's a loud noise. Think about what punctuation mark you could then use as well. So I'm going to use an exclamation mark. What other sounds could you use? You can pause the video and have a little think. So maybe boom, maybe with an exclamation mark as well. You might not want to start your story with a sound, so you could think about starting with dialogue, like we've talked about before. So starting with something that your character is going to say. So have a think, if they've just walked into the cave, it's dark, they may be feeling alone, a bit scared, what might they say and how might they say it? So I'm going to open my speech marks and I'm going to start with a question. So I'm going to start with, what was that? And because it's a question, I'm going to pop a question mark in there and then close my speech. So what was that? Then I'm going to think about how my character said that. So what was that? So they might whisper it if they're feeling really scared. If it made them jump, they might shout it or scream it. So I'm going to go with, what was that? Screamed Helena. That's just going to be my main character's name. Just had a little think and decided that. What was that? Screamed Helena. Then I'm going to add a little bit more information about what she's doing. So screamed Helena as she. So having a think at home, what might she do? As she turned around, as she looked behind her, as she ran forward. So as she, I'm going to go for turned around. So that's a really nice way of opening my story to create that suspense for my reader. Using that dialogue, I've suddenly introduced my character Helena. We don't really know anything else about her. So I can think I'm using all that show, don't tell to build suspense and create the tension. I could also start with another very short sentence. Again, thinking about the cave. Maybe I'm stood outside the cave and my friend walked in but never came back. So I could maybe start with, he'd gone. And just have that as a really short sentence to start me off with. He'd gone, but my reader doesn't know who he is or where he's gone, so I'm creating a suspense that way. And then I'm going to think about where I would then go with my story to continue to build that suspense for my reader. Or I could start with other dialogue that maybe isn't a question. I could start with, help! And then I could decide if somebody outside of the cave heard help coming, like heard someone shouting for help from inside the cave, or whether somebody was just walking by and heard what they thought they heard someone shout help, and then decide what they were going to do from there. So if you were a bit stuck on that writing challenge, you've got 4 ideas there of how you could start your story. Remember, it's a 35 minute challenge. So, nice short story. Me, Lyndon and Will and Tracy can't wait to read them. Thanks.